Hello everyone, welcome to today's meeting to discuss the sustainable path to the future. We'll start today with a quick introduction, followed by a definition of sustainable development. From there, we'll go to current company efforts, the future sustainable path, and then we'll finish up with a summary. For those of you who don't know me or my background, let me do a quick introduction. Who am I and why am I qualified to discuss the importance of sustainability to the company's future? My name is Steve Traylor, and I'm the Grid Technology Engineer at Utility X. I have a bachelor's degree from Rose-Hulman in electrical engineering, and I have over 20 years of utility engineering experience between 3 different utilities. My current role at Utility X involves new and emerging technologies. For the past 3 years, I've been reviewing and approving customer interconnections for rooftop solar, home wind, what is commonly called net metering. I'm currently working on the company's 54 megawatt solar generation projects, along with the 1 megawatt battery storage program. I'm also the engineering project manager for Company X's work on the ULRC, the new smart apartment building being built downtown. Last year, I installed the company's first conservation voltage reduction system for energy efficiency. This year, I'm the project manager for the new distribution automation program. And finally, I'm also the engineering lead for the AMI project, to be completed this year. As you can see, in addition to the traditional utility work, I also have had lots of experience with the new trends of the utility market. In addition to the work experience, I am also pursuing a graduate renewables energy certificate from the University of Nevada at Reno, scheduled to complete this year. The certificate covers more than just renewable energy. It also addresses sustainability of various types necessary to keep this company and others profitable in the future. What is sustainability? So, what is sustainable development? Depending on where you look, there are many different definitions. None of these have been chosen as an official definition. For the purpose of today's meeting and the future of Company X, we will focus on the United Nations definition. That definition is the ability to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The UN has put together a list of 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These SDGs cover all aspects for global sustainability, not just energy. For example, the goals include no poverty, no hunger, quality education, clean water, clean affordable energy, and economic growth. The SDGs also include reduced inequalities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and probably most importantly, partnerships to achieve these goals. Trying to cover all 17 goals at once by this small group seems almost unmanageable. Just keep in mind that much of the technology and innovation improvements have effects on more than one of the SDGs. At the end of the day, all of these sustainability targets are interconnected and related. When you start to look at these goals, some may actually seem unrelated to the work of this utility. But the way the company addresses these issues will affect the future not just of this business, but the local region, the United States, and the world. The company is already making some strides to become sustainable, as was mentioned by some of the projects I'm currently working on. Obviously, the core business of Company X is generation and distribution of electricity. The utility has already started construction of new solar generation, with 4 megawatts to be built this year and an additional 50 megawatts by 2021. We are also installing a 1 megawatt, 4 megawatt hour storage battery system this year, and the company has previously installed scrubbers on coal-fired generators to reduce emissions. The company also has plans to build a new 850 megawatt natural gas combined cycle turbine by 2023, which will replace existing coal generation. Even though natural gas is cleaner than coal, it is not truly sustainable. This is a stopgap measure at best. Burning any fuel adds emissions to the environment. Natural gas does emit fewer pollutants than coal, and scrub coal is obviously cleaner than unfiltered coal smoke. But some pollution is still created. The other big issue with both coal and natural gas is that they both have limited supplies. Based on current usage rates and anticipated energy consumption in the future, the world's coal supply will be depleted by 2088. With the move away from coal to natural gas, gas usage is increasing significantly. With this in mind, the natural gas supply will be depleted by 2060. Another critical piece of the sustainability culture is social responsibility. Company X has done a tremendous job in this role already. The Utility X Foundation was created to support several nonprofit groups in our service territory. In addition to encouraging employees to volunteer at nonprofits on and off the clock, Company X also gave grants totaling over $3 million to 552 organizations in 2016. The company also, obviously, needs to be economically profitable in order to be sustainable. As you're all aware, the two primary ways that we create earnings growth here are energy delivery infrastructure construction, which allows a 10% return on investment on capital expenditures, and power supply infrastructure construction, which also allows a 10% ROI. Another key piece of economic sustainability is economic development. The utility business model needs not only to keep existing customers and existing load, but also to grow that load. Company X has partnered with several other groups historically to bring in new industries to the region. These new companies not only bring in new large loads, but also attract more residential consumers as workers at these companies. In 2016, the joint economic development efforts in this region resulted in almost $800 million of private investment, which will create about 5,000 new full-time jobs by 2023. Company X has also been looking for non-traditional income streams as well. In 2007, MP was purchased. This is a construction contractor that not only builds infrastructure for Company X, but also contracts with other Midwestern utilities to build their infrastructure. In 2017, MP had $601 million in net sales and $16 million in net income. In 2008, Company X also started the ES Company. This is an engineering consulting firm whose primary focus is to find ways for energy efficiency and energy savings to be practical for industrial customers. All of these current initiatives are great beginnings to sustainability, but more needs to be done if Company X is to remain relevant in the long term. Given what's already in progress and planned, what else can we do? What should we be doing? What must we do to become sustainable? First, let's talk about solar generation. As a recap, the company is already committed to building some solar in the next 3 years, which sounds great. However, in real terms, 54 megawatts accounts for only about 5% of peak demand. Traditional energy sources are in limited supply, plus also add pollutants to the environment. With the previous presidential administration, regulations around coal were already tightening up. It's likely that the next administration, whether Republican or Democrat, will not be as forgiving on coal and emissions as the current leadership. This is based on the fact that public opinion is pushing harder every year for more environmentally friendly solutions. The solar technology is now feasible, both in terms of equipment and cost. The only downside to solar at this point is the lack of energy storage, especially for cloudy days and overnight periods. We'll talk more about the battery storage options shortly. But for the short-term future, traditional generation, using coal and gas turbines, will be needed as backup for solar during those dark times. Another reason to build more solar now, in addition to the likely changing political climate in the near future, is that solar will be less expensive to build today than it will be in the future. Demand for solar equipment will drive material prices higher, and labor costs typically increase about 3% per calendar year. And, most importantly, the fuel cost for using solar is zero. To prepare for the future and begin the path toward a sustainable energy future, Company X should move towards a 50% solar generation portfolio by 2023. Another opportunity for sustainable advancement is in energy storage. The company has also committed to build a new 1 megawatt battery energy storage system, good for 4 megawatt hours, by the end of this year. The primary purpose of this installation is to allow us to learn more about battery technology and explore ways to make energy storage work. Storage options are currently the missing links to making renewable energy feasible. It should also be pointed out that MISO is currently reviewing its options for keeping the transmission grid reliable, given the influx of renewable energy resources. As part of this, they are seriously considering requiring any new renewable energy system connected to the transmission grid to have the energy storage options equal to the size of that renewable generation capacity. In other words, if a company were to build 100 megawatts of new solar generation, they would require 100 megawatts of battery storage backup for that same location. With this in mind, Company X should be a leader in the pursuit of battery storage. We should select a partner and form an alliance with a battery manufacturing company. This would be a huge boost to the public image of Company X. It would also allow us to purchase and install the batteries at a reduced cost in return for allowing the battery manufacturer to monitor usage, run tests, and use us as a model for other utilities. This would be the true first step towards moving away from traditional generation sources and making Company X a leader in energy sustainability. The recommendation here is to match the planned solar capacity in 2020 with the same amount of battery storage. This would be a significant test for using renewable power and stored power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year-round. This would be followed by a stair-step battery build with a target of 25% of battery storage capacity by 2023 and 50% by 2028. Given past history of rate recovery, it is likely that the IURC would grant rate increases to cover the cost of the solar and battery installations, making this profitable for the company as well. Next, let's talk about the workforce in this area. With a move away from traditional energy sources, fewer workers will be needed for power generation. Given that we live in the coal belt, coal mining jobs will also decrease locally. Current union relations with power plant workers will dictate no loss of jobs during the current contract, although some agreement could possibly be negotiated to change that. It is more likely that the workforce will remain in their current jobs through 2021. But the company will need a labor force to operate the solar and battery facilities. No one is currently trained to do that locally. The company will also need additional workers for some new business opportunities that will be discussed later in this presentation. It is vital that the current power plant workers and coal miners remain local and have good jobs. These people are not only workers, but are also customers of Company X and consumers in the local economy. Keeping these workers employed in this area is vital to economic stability and future economic growth. The workers we're talking about are mostly skilled laborers. As such, they would make great solar installers, battery maintenance techs, and fill other technical jobs needed for a sustainable future. Since power plants will be affected first, the company should start discussions now with the union about retraining options. Secondly, local technical schools and universities should be brought in to help determine the training needed. The company also needs to begin exploring available government grants for retraining costs. I can't emphasize this enough. Keeping these workers well employed and in the immediate area is vital for the local economy and for the future of Company X. This is another step in achieving sustainability. Now we move on to the importance of economic development. As you saw before in the list of SDGs, everything is interrelated to achieve sustainability. This applies locally, regionally, and globally. So, in addition to the energy steps mentioned above, economic growth is a major need as well. Even though in today's world, most of the company's revenues come from regulated monopolized business, this may not be the case in the future. Net metering and deregulation is changing this. But regardless of the regulatory outcome, economic growth and stability is a requirement for the future of Company X. The company has done a terrific job in the past of partnering with various groups and governmental agencies to focus on bringing in new industries. This practice must move forward with an even stronger emphasis in the changing world. And, as mentioned before, one of the most important issues with the growing economy is to first keep a well-trained workforce here at home. And next, as you already know, it is vital that the company remain involved in the community and in the region. The company has been an amazing advocate in the past for this community, both in terms of governmental alliances as well as being active in local nonprofits. Keeping the community strong will help in economic growth. But more importantly, Company X needs to be a good corporate citizen. It builds goodwill toward the company, improves the community, helps the economy, and helps society in general. And now we get to the really exciting part of the presentation. This is probably where many of you will be pushed from your comfort zone. This is the time when we start talking about the need to expand the business model in completely new directions, in areas that a traditional utility has never gone. First, we'll talk about Company X's role in expanding customer-owned solar. As you know, last year the governor signed SEA 309, which allowed existing solar customers to retain net metering benefits through 2047. It also allows new solar, installed by 2023, to be a part of the net metering program through 2032. This led, and will continue to lead, to unprecedented rooftop solar installations. This is proof that many customers want to generate their own power and not pay the utility company. But the biggest issue for many customers is the upfront cost of solar, typically $20,000 to $30,000 for a residential installation. This upfront cost issue provides an opportunity for Company X. The first option is for homeowners. The company could sell design and installation services for rooftop solar. The company would also provide financing options for the customer. The second option is for customers who don't have a rooftop or who don't want the panels on their roof. This would be a community solar farm. Similar to the rooftop option, Company X would design and build a community solar field. Customers would buy as many panels as needed to cover their electrical usage, with the cost again financed by the company. For both of these types of installations, the company could also sell annual maintenance and operations agreements, along with repair services, for long-term revenue. The next new opportunity for business growth is in the area of microgrids. Many of you are probably asking, what is a microgrid? A microgrid, in its simplest form, is a small utility system designed to generate enough power to serve its load while not taking power from the grid. A historical example of this is for military applications. When a temporary Army base is constructed in a foreign country, a portable generator is installed and cables run to the various equipment types at the base for lighting, communications, etc. In the past, the military has used primarily diesel for these applications. Today, microgrids are being used to achieve energy reliability and interdependence here in the United States. Many factories, such as Plastic Company A here in town, now generate their own power and are completely off the grid. Hospitals have built similar microgrids. They are still fed from the grid, but have generation available in the event of a utility outage. Microgrids offer extreme amounts of resiliency, and today, diesel, natural gas, solar, and batteries are all being used as energy supplies. For Company X, microgrids are intriguing for two reasons. First, a microgrid could be more economically feasible than traditional utility builds. For example, we have some areas of the electrical grid that are very rural. These locations are typically at the end of very long distribution circuits and have some of the worst outage numbers on our system, very unreliable. We have very limited access to transmission sources here, and the revenue available from the customers who live there make it difficult to cost justify building new transmission and substation facilities. However, if the existing grid were to stay in place, even with its outage issues, and a microgrid were constructed instead of a new substation, reliability could be vastly improved. The typical operating condition would be to install a solar field and battery backup, which would be the normal power source for the town. In the event that the sun wasn't shining, or hadn't shined enough to completely charge the batteries, the traditional grid would be switched on and would power the town. While there would still be some risk of an outage while connected to the grid, it would greatly reduce the number of outages from always being on the grid. Local generation would be a great improvement. The second option for Company X is to use the microgrid as an additional revenue stream. Look at becoming the engineering and installation resource for industries, schools, and hospitals who want to have virtually uninterruptible power. Become the local solution for providing microgrids. In this scenario, Company X could also provide the annual maintenance, operation, and repair contracts for each microgrid, allowing another long-term revenue stream. Another opportunity for future growth is electric vehicle chargers. Hybrid vehicles, those that use both gas and electric power, have been on the road for over 10 years now. Purely electric vehicles have also been commercially available for over 5 years. As with energy production, existing gas vehicles have issues with limited fuel supply. For both existing gas and diesel automobiles, emissions are also a major environmental concern. This has become such a large issue that several large auto manufacturers have pledged to increase their EV and hybrid offerings in the next 5 years. In fact, Volvo has gone so far as to say they will not produce any traditionally fueled vehicles after 2019. Southwestern Indiana currently has 77 electric or hybrid vehicles here, per the registrations in the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Given manufacturing trends, this number is sure to increase. As of today, there are only 6 commercially accessible vehicle chargers in this region. Utility X should begin a plan to work with local communities to install commercial charging stations, particularly in busy areas. Government grants are also available to assist with this infrastructure installation. This would provide another new revenue source for Company X moving forward. And last but not least, another future opportunity lies in the area of multi-purpose streetlight poles. Manufacturers of LED street and area lighting are adding some very interesting features to their light poles. In addition to offering dual sources, solar and traditional electrical power, they are also adding new technology. One such piece of technology is motion sensing. This allows the LED to dim when there are no cars or pedestrians nearby, reducing the energy usage. When a vehicle triggers the motion sensor, the lights immediately turn on to full power, and then the lights dim back down after the traffic has passed. Another key feature is a camera. The video camera would be wirelessly connected and could be used as a security mechanism. Company X could charge a company for private video surveillance of a parking lot, or have a contract with the city for security cameras throughout the downtown area. This would also be a new revenue stream. Finally, the light poles also have Wi-Fi connectivity. This could be a huge revenue generator. The company could either partner with the city, and the city would pay to provide a Wi-Fi service within the district. Or, if the city doesn't want to participate, the company could charge a per-use connection fee to users, similar to what some wireless cafes do today, or even sell monthly plans to frequent users. Again, this could be a significant amount of new revenue. That concludes the new ideas portion of today's presentation. Many of these items would have been impossible even 10 years ago. We are at a truly exciting time in terms of technological growth, environmental changes, societal impact, and economic opportunities. Even though this topic has likely scared some of you a bit, I'm hoping it has also impassioned some of you. I urge you, as you leave here today, and think about this over the upcoming days, to look beyond tomorrow and into the future. I urge you to think about the legacy you can leave. I urge you to think about how these changes can affect the future of your children and your grandchildren. I urge you to think about how these changes can affect the future of the planet. I urge you to start down the path to a sustainable future. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you about sustainability today. My contact information is at the bottom of this slide in case any follow-up questions arise. Feel free to reach out anytime. Best wishes for a bright future.